Hello. Oops. There we go. Oops. Just waiting for people to turn up. Beautiful sunny day today. Hello. Just waiting for everyone to turn up. Oh, sugar. Just a sec. That's better. Okay, this is one of my regularly scheduled lives. So we'll see how it goes. Just tired today. I'll perk up. Okay, so while we're waiting, I'd love to know where you're from. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. So where are you from? I also lived in Australia for about 20 years. My kids were born and raised in Australia. So I've got 2 countries that are home. So where are you from? So I'm tying my hair in a knot here. Okay, Montana. I hear that's, oh, you've been here before, Brianna. Yeah, I hear that's beautiful. I always think mountains when I hear Montana. And I know I'm right because people agree with me. They go, yeah, lots of mountains there. It's supposed to be beautiful. Okay. Quebec. Hello, Amanda. Quebec. Never made it that far. I made it to, I think the furthest I ever went was Thunder Bay. So I've been to Toronto, but that was all when I was just a kid. So I haven't been there as an adult. That was a long time ago. Okay, I'm just waiting for people to turn up. Taking it easy. I'm really low energy today. I had my immunization today, so maybe that's it. Or I'm just had a busy day. Okay, let me see. Okay, let's just get going. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you look at the link above, you can see my courses, my coaching, and all that stuff. Also, the free behavior board. The behavior board has a toddler section on it now, too. So the behavior board starts at 3. So what do you do before 3? Now there's a little blurb on that. Okay. So, okay. So I'm just reading your names. Okay, let's get going with your questions. I'll do my best to answer them. Someone wrote something funny in one of the comments. I was actually going through, I'm trying to go through and answer some comments on Instagram. It's the only place I'm doing that right now. I just had to pick a lane. So my daughter said, do it on Instagram. If you've got any time, answer comments and just go to Instagram for now. So, but anyway, one of the comments was really cute. And it was in response to the fact that a lot of parents struggle with, being a leader. And this person answered and they said, put your backbone where your wishbone is and stop trying to be your kid's bestie. I couldn't pick up the name. It was sort of initials in that, so I didn't catch the name on there. But isn't that cute? So put your backbone where your wishbone is and stop trying to be your kid's bestie. You could apply that to a lot. Put your backbone where your wishbone is. That's cute. I've never heard that before. And you think as old as I am, I would have heard that, but no, I haven't. Okay, so just waiting for your questions. What came up today in coaching? Sometimes things come up and I have a funny story or something that I want to share. And just something, nothing really to share today. Just that whenever you think you're going through something unusual, there's usually lots of other parents going through the same thing. It's a lot of rinse and repeat in coaching, but one of my favorite stories with a client was she had a little boy about 4, and she'd set a timer. He had to do, I don't know, chores. He had like a certain amount of time to do a chore, which was a punishment because he didn't do something right. He broke a rule. Anyway, so what he did was he was taking too long. He didn't want to do it. So the mom left the room. When she came back, the timer had been fudged, but like he added some extra time onto it. But he was clever. He didn't add like 15 minutes. He added like 7. So she said he was clever. She goes, I can just imagine him thinking it through and thinking, well, don't put too much because then she'll be on to you. Kids are great. Okay. My daughter, who just turned 2, is possessive with toys. Yeah, they're going to get like that. It's sort of a stage they just go through. So make sure that when she does have friends over, put her absolute favorite thing away. Like, let's say you have a child who has like a plushie, you know, that favorite thing that they cuddle. Don't let other kids play with that. So put away things that she's really possessive about. And the rest of it, just if she grabs something off a friend, you say no and you give it back to that friend. She will eventually learn. It's a slow burn. You can't reason with them. You can just use consistent corrective actions. They will eventually learn, but it's just repetition. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, childproof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3, when you want to connect with a toddler, you do so in their world, not yours. In other words, you don't take them to the nail salon. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. I got like a rainbow going on there. What's that? What is that? I don't know where that's coming from. Number 4, when you want to discipline a toddler, you do so in their world. They're not about words, they're about actions. So you use consistent corrective actions, and they learn through repetition. It takes forever. They'll eventually catch on. Number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in here. They're cute as a button, but they're just forming. They're brand new, fresh human beings. Okay, that's it. That's my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. I'm going to read out. And my arm's sore. I got a vaccination today. Like, why is my arm hurt? Actually, shouldn't be complaining about that. Just a bit whiny, feeling whiny. Okay, these are my top 4 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1, listen to understand and show empathy. Don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. Number 2, you negotiate as much as possible. Hey, I want you to put your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? Number 3, don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. Or do you want to hear what I did this morning? It's okay to make mistakes. Number 4 is don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. A lot of parents do this. They'll teach them how to connect with their teenager, and then they'll be out with them having fun, and then they want to discuss all the way they've disappointed them in the last 2 years, and they can't figure out why they gave them the finger and took off on them. Yeah, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. Okay, how can I get my 6 and 9-year-old to listen to me? I try everything. Yeah, okay. Check out my behavior board. It's going to teach you how to set down rules and consequences. It's just the training wheels with all this stuff, but it teaches you how to get organized, pick a battle, and on the behavior board, like it's something that you want to win, but also you're on there too. That's what makes it work. They don't listen to you if they don't respect you. And in order to get respect, you've got to give it. So I believe you've got to give it to get it. The old-fashioned authority-based way of parenting was more fear and intimidation-based. My way or the highway, you do what I say. And teenagers will rebel against that. Or they might. Some kids never will rebel. But if they're going to rebel, they will rebel against the old-fashioned authority style. And the newfangled pleaser parent style, where you're trying to discuss all their big feelings, make everything easy for them. You're raising snowflakes. They have no fortitude, no strength, no self-discipline. And they certainly don't respect you. So yeah, work on I call it leadership parenting. It's just, I sort of invented all this stuff because I don't know what anyone else is teaching anyway. And, but anyway, so yeah, check out the behavior board. It's completely free above. Or if you want the boot camp course, that might be for you. But yeah, you got to get on that board and have rules and consequences for everybody. You got to put down the age. I can't answer without an age. Certain things I could, but not a lot I can't. Okay, this is Danielle on YouTube. My 5-year-old started hitting when he doesn't get his way. How do you use corrective action? Oh, you don't use corrective action with a 5-year-old. That stops at 3. At 3, they go on the behavior board. Yeah. Put down, let me see, started hitting. Put down no hitting as his rule. That is the example on my behavior board. It's completely free. You sign up to the newsletter and you get the behavior board. So yeah, Danielle, check that out. And you get his rule is no hitting. When he does hit, he has to do a chore or something. And if he won't do that chore, then you do media blackout for 24 hours or something like that. So yeah, you don't use corrective action past the age of 3. Past the age of like when they just turned 3, you use the behavior board. And you can't just put an age without putting down the question, because I don't know what question. You see what I mean? Yeah, put the whole question and the ages and everything together. Okay, I'm just going to read it. I always have stuff I want to talk about too. I don't know. Sometimes forget to do that. Something that I notice all the time is that parents tend to overpraise and underplay. It's okay to praise, but that's for you. Your children don't care about it. They care about play. Think about a 5-year-old boy and you say to him, you're wonderful, you're special, you're good looking, you're smart, you're perfect, you're blah, I love you, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go do the dishes now. Look at his face. What did that do for him? Nothing. You say to that same boy, hey, what are you playing there? Can I join in? Look at his face. Completely different. Their love language is play. It's not praise. They don't care about it. Actually, I don't care about it either. It doesn't mean anything to me. You know, whenever I've heard someone say, oh, this person's so charming, I'm like, oh, God, stay away. That's a red flag to me. Charm hides a lot of stuff. I don't need to be charming. I'm a good person. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's the ones who have evil stuff to hide. They're the most charming people. Watch out. And kids pick up on that. They don't want the praise. The praise is superficial stuff. It's like charm. It's superficial. Doesn't mean anything. Spend time with them. Play with them. Is it the same action for a 4-year-old daughter hitting at school but not at home? Yeah, you use the behavior board and you get the school to report to you. Just say, can you let me know if she's hit today? They can send you a quick message or when you pick her up or whatever. And they don't go into great detail. They don't ask for a lot of details. They're very busy, especially at pickup and drop off. Teachers are. So just say, did she hit today? Yeah, she did. Okay. So then you go home and you say, okay, so the teacher said you hit today. So the behavior board says no hitting. Here's your, follow through with the behavior board. Is play roughhousing good for kids? Not really. But I'll tell you something. I'm always in an awkward position. If you wrestle with kids and roughhouse with them, of course they're going to be more likely to do it out with other kids, right? Like they don't always know the difference between roughhousing and bullying and beating someone up because they're used to being physical. You sort of train them to be comfortable with roughhousing, so then they often do it. But a lot of my clients are like tough kind of guys, like cowboys and, like rodeo guys and all that. And that's how they bond with their kids, boys and girls. They wrestle with them. I'm not going to take that away from them. But if you're on the fence whether or not you're going to do it, I would suggest not, because they don't always know the line. Like, where do you stop? Often it turns into something, someone gets hurt. So I never roughhoused with my kids. I goofed around with my kids a lot. So, but yeah, we didn't roughhouse or wrestle with them ever. I didn't want to make that comfortable for them. Do you know what I mean? Okay, I'm raising my twin grandkids. They're 9 years old. How can I stop them from fighting? I don't know who's starting it. You gotta figure that out. And there's so many different ways we can deal with this. Just try this. So you say, okay, you guys can't get along. You come with me for the next, 10 minutes or whatever. Just separate them. Take turns. You come with me and help me do the dishes for 10 minutes now, and then throw them back together. And then the next time it happens, take the other one away. They're usually doing something that they don't want to be pulled away from, or they often want to be together. Also, when you've got two kids who don't get along, don't do any one-on-one time with them. It builds resentment. They'll end up hating each other. So even more than they already do. So yeah, you play with them together, because parents are always trying to stop them from fighting, but do you show them how to get along, how to play? They don't have to be friends. They don't have to like each other. I'm sure they love each other, but they don't have to like each other. But yeah, show them how to get along. Show them how to play games with you, like play with them together as a group. Don't single them out, because it builds resentment. And they're not learning anything that way. Just wanted to let you know I appreciate you. My kids are grown, but you've helped me with my grandkids. Oh, that's sweet. Thank you so much. I get a lot of really beautiful comments and emails and that. I always appreciate you taking the time to say that. It means a lot to me. Where do I find the behavior board? It's in the link. Okay, I don't know anything about social media. It's in a bio or the link. It's somewhere up top near my name, like BratBusters. It'll be in there. If there's a link, that's where you'll find it. I probably only have one link there. It's BratBusters.com, my website. Okay. Toddlers starting to headbang. Yeah, they don't understand concussions or brain bleeds or anything like that. So whenever they start getting violent, if they hurt themselves, hurt someone else, or damage property, you just physically restrain them. So if they're having a tantrum, you still don't give them any attention, though. You don't look at them or talk to them. You just physically hold them to prevent them from killing themselves, basically. And then just hold them for a minute, let them go. If they start to get violent again, then you restrain them again. But you're not looking at them. It's going to get worse before it gets better. They're going to fight you because that's what they're after. They're after a fight. So as soon as you grab them, they're just going to get more and more snarly. But that's okay. Just go through it. Behind every fit, scene, meltdown, and tantrum is a lesson. That is them processing they're no longer in charge and you are. It takes time, though. Tantrums don't end overnight. What's the best way to keep a 3-year-old to behave in church? Sometimes she's good and sometimes she's just screaming and yelling. I don't know how to answer that. Like, what's she like everywhere else? Is there like one set of rules for everywhere else and then a totally different set of rules for church? You see what I mean? Like, is she allowed to be wild and crazy at home and screaming? And does she act out? And then all of a sudden at church, you expect her to have a completely different personality? Are you consistent with your expectations? Like, we go to a play center, we go to the park, that's when you can yell and everything, but everywhere else, no. So yeah. It's maybe a lack of consistency. Also, that's a big ask to expect a kid to sit quietly in church. I just think that's a huge ask. Do they not have like a daycare there or something? I don't know. I have a 7-year-old that won't talk to me. How do I get him to communicate with me? I don't know what's going on there, but try the behavior board. And your rule is play with him for 10 minutes, or 30 minutes every single day. You have to play video games with him or something for 30 minutes. They tend to talk when there's another diversion going on. Like if you're playing a game, and don't drill him. Oh, you want to talk about your feelings? Don't do any of that. Just start playing a game and just make him comfortable being with you more so that you're actually connecting in his world, and he's more likely to talk to you that way. So check out the behavior board also, because it's about connecting. You have a rule, right? Your rule and your consequence is important to them. I hate answering this question, and my daughter won't even answer it in DMs or anything. She does the DMs. She runs them by me, but anyway. What to do with a 2-year-old who thinks being physically too rough with a family dog is funny? Yeah, if you can't keep an animal safe in your home, I mean, obviously use consistent corrective action and try and keep them separate as much as possible. But if you cannot keep an animal safe and unharmed in your home, find another home for it. I'm an animal lover. I wouldn't think twice. If I couldn't control my kids to keep the animals safe and unharmed, I wouldn't keep animals in my house. We had a little Maltese, and we had a golden retriever till my son was 5 or 6. And then we had a little Maltese and a bird after that. And the kids knew, you do not pick up that dog. And it just was not allowed. You can hold her if I put her on your lap when you're sitting on the couch, but you can't go and pick up a dog in case they dropped her, right? And also don't run past the bird cage and startle the bird. So they just understood from a very young age. If I couldn't have controlled them, I would have rehomed the pets. Two-year-old kicks mom or dad during a diaper change. You want overtime, what to do then? No, they're just overtired. Just physically restrain them. See it coming. A lot of parents have, they know that their kid's going to kick, and yet they don't protect themselves. And then they end up getting kicked in the face, and then they lose it. They allowed that to happen. They saw it. They knew it was going to happen, but they were hoping their child just wouldn't do it. Just be aware that your child's a kicker and just hold their legs down. Don't let them kick you. Don't let them commit the crime, because you know darn well it's going to drive you nuts. So yeah, I see that all the time. Parent, there was what was it? I saw it on TikTok or something. And this mom said, he knows better. And then she got really mad when this toddler did something, but she had a mini therapy session with him, discussing all that it hurts her. And then he did it again, and she was mortified. And I'm like, he's a toddler. He's 2. He's going to do it again and again and again. You just physically restrain him and don't look like it bothers you at all. Change that diaper. Just make sure you don't get kicked in the head. Well, yeah, you didn't put down an age. That was the bath one. And don't just put an age. You have to put the whole question plus the age and repost it. Because if you just put the age, I won't remember what it was to. So yeah, I need an age. So it's best to put an age for everything. How do I let go of being a demanding and intimidating mom and work towards being the respectful, loving leader they deserve? Okay, so start with my behavior board. That is the start of all this stuff. If they're 3 and over, that's where you start. But it even has a toddler section on it now. The reason why that's so good is the parents are on it too. That's why it's a different behavior board. It's a family accountability chart. Everyone's accountable for their own actions, their own behavior, how they treat other people. So anyway, check that out. That's where you start with all this. If you're not accountable for your actions, why on earth do you think your kid should be? I don't even understand that. I literally can't wrap my head around that. Why on earth do you expect more from your kids than yourself? I've never understood that. I guess that's why I teach this leadership. But yeah, if you're not accountable, if the kids can't punish you, how is that even fair? It doesn't make any sense to me. That's why I invented the behavior board with the parents on it. Oh, don't ask me about crime cases, and I'm not going to answer that. Okay. So, gee, I'm just so tired tonight. I've had a really long day. Okay, what age should a child reasonably be expected to sit through a family dinner, like event? Oh, an event? Well, till they're finished eating. But we had a lot of fun. Like our family dinners were a lot of chatting, a lot of laughing, goofing around. So they'd finish eating and then they'd still sit there and laugh. And so make it fun. If not, as soon as they finished eating, they can go. That's what I would do. It can be torture sitting there through a boring meal if they're just little kids. I had a very loud, funny family, so I always wanted to sit there. They were funny. Plus, you didn't have a voice. If you weren't loud and interrupting constantly in my family, you never got a word in edgewise. A lot of goofing around. But yeah, I always think of the big family dinners that we had. And my mother used to say that my family was very funny, good storytellers. My mom used to say, after I've told a story a few times, I don't even recognize it from the truth because it's been elaborated on, fixed up, made funnier. I remember as a kid, I thought, oh, you got to work on making it funny. My husband is worried that our 2-year-old is too attached to me. Is that even possible? I don't know what you mean by that. Is he too dependent upon you and won't play on his own and won't, but he's still only 2. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. I wouldn't worry about that yet. If he's 16 and still hanging onto your apron strings, yeah, I might worry about it. But at 2, no. Thing is, he hasn't found anything more interesting yet. Once they find something more interesting than you, all of a sudden you become kind of boring. Once they start school or they have friends around and all that stuff, yeah, they're not hanging on to you quite as much. So enjoy it. Enjoy it now. Okay, my 5-year-old's having issues pooping. Okay, so he's hiding and pooping in his pants. There's 3 reasons why kids don't want to poop on the toilet, usually. One is plop phobia. Has he been splashed? The other one is hanging phobia. Maybe they don't like the feeling of it hanging and tugging on their bum. And the other one is cold. Maybe he doesn't like sitting there for a while and gets a cold bum. So what I would do is I would literally, he's 5 years old, but go out and get a porta potty and say, look, we're just going to try this, see how it goes. A couple of reasons for that. So get a little porta potty and then put toilet paper in the bottom so that his bum, he can feel like there's something in there. So he's not going to get any splashback. Also, his knees are up in that pooping position. It's a little bit more conducive to pooping. And then hike the heat up or put a big quilt around him and say you can only watch your favorite program while you're sitting there trying to poop. So it's have an iPad or your phone or something, and he only gets to watch that program while he's trying to poop. But don't make it like a discipline. Make it like we're gonna fix this. We're gonna get this solved. We're working together here. I remember once my son. I think it was my son, and he was poop. And I remember I don't know why, but I just made No, what was it? Oh, I wasn't feeling very well or something. And I was reading a book to him. Well, he was pooping okay, but I was getting nauseous because of the smell. I remember I was trying to read this book to him and I was getting green. And I thought, what we do as parents, what we go through. Eh? And I remember thinking, wow, this is gross. Like I was just so nauseous that day. There's no dignity in parenting. Okay. When should I switch my son from a crib to a bed? I did that with my kids actually quite young. I did it as soon as they flopped out onto the floor. You know how they do that? Yeah, they do the big flop. And that was it. I dismantled the whole crib and I just put the mattress on the floor and surrounded it by pillows. And that was it. And yeah. So whenever they flop out of as soon as they can get out and, because they can get a concussion or something, right? So yeah, as soon as they're flopping on the floor, then yeah, I'd transition. But if they're like 2.5 and they're still not doing that, I'd probably transition or have the side down so they could get out. So you can do it so it's 3-sided usually. But even that, they could fall out and it's further down. So I would just put a mattress on the floor. But there's no this is the age they should be. Don't worry about the milestones. You know how there's always they should be doing this at this age, that at that age. You know how many kids are actually following all that? I remember my daughter was very skinny. She didn't put on a lot of weight in the first, I think, 5 weeks. And then the doctor saw her it was the first, I think the 3-week check. He says, wow, she's not gaining much weight. But she was eating and that, and I wasn't worried. And because I know they're all different, right? She was gaining weight, but just not a lot. And then 2 weeks later, she had an episode. It was quite a scare, actually. And then, so I had her at the doctor, and he went, whoa, is that even the same baby? She was like the Michelin Man. So she was just waiting, and then she just ballooned up. So they don't always follow this straight path, right? They, they're all different, right? Oh, okay. Thank you for helping me with my kiddos. Sam Silva, you're very welcome. That's what I'm here for. I love my job. Whenever I'm doing a lot of admin work, which I can't stand doing, I don't think anyone likes it. And whenever I'm doing that, and then I think, oh my God, I got a coaching session. Like I've had really busy days where I'm just doing admin stuff all day. Then I get a coaching session. That's my joy. That's my relaxation is coaching. But yeah, because that's why you go into business doing what you do well. It's all there's 2 different aspects to running a business. One is have your craft or service or product, make sure that's all sorted out. That's the easy part. It's the other half is running the business. That's the part I don't like. So, but yeah, the coaching I love because that's why I teach it. But the business end of it, nah, don't like that at all. Anyway, I'm going to go over to Instagram now. If you want to join me, you're welcome to do so. It's BratBusters Parenting. If not, check out the link above. You can see my courses and all sorts of stuff up there. Anyway, and the newsletter has the behavior board in it. So thanks so much for joining me. And I'm on YouTube the whole time. And then I hop from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok, a half hour on each. And the whole time I'm on YouTube, which is where all my lives are saved. Thanks so much. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye now. Whoops. So I'm just pushing button after button after button. And done. There we go. Lots of buttons to push. Well, there are no buttons to push anymore. It's just a screen. I remember buttons. You probably don't. I was just talking to you on YouTube. Okay. Oh, today was my first day. I can actually walk kind of normally. I got hit by a car. I was walking to the gym and I got hit by a car. And I was lucky. I stayed on top of the hood. Never go under. Stay on top of the hood. If you're going to get hit by a car, stay on top of the hood. Anyway, today's my first day where I'm feeling decent. So it's good. I'm happy. Okay, hello. You saved my marriage. I'm not a marriage counselor, but I do a lot of that. It comes up a lot because oftentimes parenting can really affect the marriage, right? And oftentimes a bad marriage can affect parenting. So we've got to get some negotiating going on with the couple too. So yeah, it's good. It's all good. How do you not run out of patience? Because you know it's going to work. It will eventually, you'll start to see results. Within 3 or 4 weeks, you should really start to see some results. So just hold out. It's like dieting. How do I diet if I'm not losing any weight? Got to keep going. All of a sudden, you'll start to lose weight. All of a sudden, you'll start to get some respect. Okay. So, I'll just introduce myself here on Instagram. I just came from Facebook and I'm on YouTube the whole time, and I'll be heading over to TikTok in half an hour. Anyway, my name is Lisa Bunnage. I'm a parenting coach. I'm a mom and I'm a grandmother. So if you look at the link above, you can see my courses and all sorts of other stuff. And that's where the behavior board is. It's also there. It's completely free. It's in the newsletter. So, and I talk about the behavior board constantly. You're in it. That's why it works. You're on there too. You have a rule and a consequence. If you're not accountable for what you do and say, you're not a leader. You're a dictator. You're an authority. Yeah, you're beyond reproach, right? We don't do that. My daughter and I do our podcast together, and we were talking about that one day, and someone asked, they said, how often were you disciplined, like as kids? And we don't remember her ever being disciplined, really, because I got respect when they were little. It was very odd time. But I was in trouble all the time. I was always the one. I'm a bit of a crazy person. And I was always like, okay, Mom, can you please make muffins? I remember this one time in particular. Can you please make muffins? Yeah, I'll do it tonight. Of course, I forgot. I hate cooking. So, of course, I forgot to do it. And the next night, Mom, remember you said last night you're going to make muffins? You didn't do it. I said, yeah, I know. I'll do it tonight. Do you promise? Yes, I promise. I will make the muffins tonight. Get off my back. And they go, okay, fine. So the next morning, Mom, remember last night you promised you were going to make muffins? I don't see no muffins. And sure enough, I'd forgotten again. So I was in trouble. So I'd say, what do you want? And they'd say, we'd love to go to the water slide park after school. So that's where we went. So yeah, if you're not accountable, you're not a leader. That's leadership. Leaders are accountable. My kids had a voice, believe me. But it was always respectful. I always said, if you ever come at me in a disrespectful way, you'll get no respect back. So, you get back what you put out. I used to tell my kids, I said, if your good life is good, if your bad life ain't so good, I'll make sure of it, because that's my job. I'm your mom. So, yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm scrolling ahead to make sure you're still here when I answer your questions. As an expecting father, I'm so glad I found your content. Yeah, I do have clients that have newborns and all that too, but the real stuff doesn't really kick in till they're toddlers, like 1.5. That's when all this behavior kicks in. Up until then, you're meeting their needs and meeting their wants. I don't discuss anything medical, and most of it's really medical with babies. But yeah, we do talk about that. But we also talk a lot about how you prepare for the years coming, what to expect, so that you're not sidelined. Like, what's wrong? I just explained that to my toddler, and he did it anyway. And I'm like, yeah, so what's your point? What's your question? Toddlers don't make any sense because they haven't got sense yet. We don't really do screen time, so that won't work. So you mean the 24-hour media blackout? Yeah, that's right. So take away a favorite toy for 24 hours. Something that they love doing every single day. But you don't take away love. You don't take away reading to them at night in bed. But if that's all you got, you can say, we're only going to do that for 10 minutes tonight instead of 20. So you can minimize something like that, but you don't take it away. Or I don't want to talk about inventing leverage right now, because that's sort of the next level. That's where we go. But yeah, I won't go into that yet. But you can try the other. How can I get my 3-year-old twins to quiet down and stay in their new toddler beds? You can actually, if you're going to do bedtime battles, I've got it in my boot camp course. It's how to get kids in bed. It's also in my 3 to 12-year-old boot camp course. Anyway, if you're going to train them to stay in bed, you can literally just separate them for the night. You put one in bed on a mattress in your bedroom, and then you train the other one. And then once you've got them trained, you move them to your room and train the other one. So, because if they're feeding off each other, playing all night, yeah. But also, it's usually just a stage they're going through. How much fun, eh? All of a sudden, they got freedom and they're jumping around in their beds. I mean, come on. Preschool teachers complain that my 3-year-old doesn't follow instructions. What can I do to help him? That's interesting. Was there anything specific? It's too broad to put on a behavior board. You could, but he's awfully little and it's broad. I would say just pick something. Say when the teacher tells you to clean up, you clean up, or something like that. And then if he doesn't, then there's a consequence at home. So you got to deal with all this at home. Don't expect other people to do this. You're the leader. I teach leadership parenting. I don't teach anything else. So yeah, but you got to pick one specific thing to start with and be very specific. Okay, 3-year-old behavior board examples for consequences. There's 2 consequences for kids. The first one is a positive action. If they won't do that, then you do the negative deprivation. So you make them do something. If they won't do it, it's harder to get them to do something. Then that's okay. Then you just take something away. So the consequence, don't worry about what the consequences are. It's the message you're sending. So it's usually just do a good deed, like do a chore, make your bed, help you with laundry, help you with dishes, clean a window, clean a bathroom sink. It's do a chore in 15 minutes. You'll see it's all explained on the behavior board, how you do it. And then if they won't do that, you just give them 15 minutes. All you're doing is timing. You're a timekeeper. Okay, I want you to wash that window and 15 minutes starts now. Then you're just like this. You're just waiting. Do not nag them. Let them fail. Let them not do it. That's okay. A leader does not nag and remind and repeat themselves at all. All you're doing, okay, you got 15 minutes to clean that window, and there we go. It started. Now you're just a timekeeper. You just stand there. Make it very obvious you're keeping time. Ooh, 10 more minutes. Don't say you have 10 more minutes to clean the window. That's nagging. Just go, ooh, 10 more minutes. Don't look at them or anything. You're just where the window is. You're just sort of timekeeping, right? Oop, time's up. Okay, let's go to the behavior board. Now let me see. You broke the rule, so you had to clean a window, and that wasn't done. They might run and do it now. Well, it's too late. You didn't do it in the 15 minutes. And they're washing it now. So you're just still at the board. Okay, so 24-hour media blackout starts now. Not fair. I just washed the window. Yeah, but you didn't do it before the alarm went. So that's okay. No screens for the next day. Make it happen. Make it happen. A lot of parents say, but I don't want the scene. That is the lesson. That is the transition into your leadership, is them putting up a stink. That is the lesson. Don't be afraid of that. It's like that 8-year-old kid who said to me, he never met me. I was going to be working with him. And he says, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. And I said to him, bring it on. And he never did. You can just see him processing like that. Ooh, she knows what she's doing. There was no point in having a fit with me. I'm like, bring it on. I'm not afraid of you. Right? So he was great with me. So if you're afraid of their fit scenes, meltdowns, and tantrums, they have you by the knackers, and they know it. What's fun for them? I actually went back to see what was fun for them. I don't know what you're referring to. I'm curious. Okay. How can I help my 3-year-old toddler to wear a helmet when he rides his bike? He wears a hat, but refuses the helmet. No helmet, no bike. That's his choice. That's okay. He doesn't have to go on the bike. No helmet, no bike. It's a rule. When he wants the bike bad enough, he'll put the helmet on. I'm amazed how many adults don't wear helmets. Actually, I met a guy tonight. My daughter and I were walking down the street, and this guy just started chatting with us at a stoplight. And when we were walking, he was on his bike, and he'd come a long distance too, like a long distance. He'd probably been on his bike for a good hour at least. And he said, yeah, a lot of construction around here because the new subway's going in and that. And then he says, oh, I guess I should be wearing a helmet. And I'm like, yeah, you rode all that time. And I know the roads he would have had. I've ridden out that way. I know the roads he would have had to have taken. So yeah. But yeah, he wouldn't wear a helmet. So, or he said he had one, but he didn't wear it. Or else the people who wear the helmet, but the straps are just dangling. They're not even connected. What's the point? So Yeah, if he wants to get on his bike, he'll have to work. He'll learn. So you got a 2-year-old that screams for no reason. So just ignore it. They lean into what works and they lean away from what doesn't. Not right away. It takes a while. But yeah, if it's not working, they do most things toddlers do is for attention. So yeah, if it gets no attention, they just kind of lean away from it. Are consequences considered threats? No, it's accountability. I follow through, but feel that there's only one way they listen is okay. Yeah, but it's on the board. So, and my kids knew if they ever were rude or anything, they knew that I would come in with a consequence. And my disappointment would have been enough to keep them in line. Like I was a leader, right? So, but yeah, it's not a threat. It's like, I guess you could say what it is, because a ticket is a threat. If I know I'm going to speed and get a ticket, that's a threat. It's the same idea. It's really just a consequence. It's karma. I used to tell my kids, you get back what you put out. So be careful what you put out there. Like, in other words, it's all up to you. It's your choice. You can control your own life by putting out good stuff, right? If you put out bad stuff, I'll make sure you're accountable for it. It's my job. That's why they were easy. Like right through, and I know so many people used to say, you're so lucky you got the easiest kids. But I worked for that. I put the work in. I earned that. This is work. My 3-year-old completely shuts down when being disciplined. I don't know what you mean by shut down. I don't know what you mean. If he does, I don't know what you mean. Is he like emotionally traumatized, or, which I doubt, he's just, yeah, maybe he does that because he knows it bothers you and you start to feel guilty and you give in. Is that what it is? Is he manipulating you? I don't know. You got a 3-year-old who hits, just put down no hitting on the behavior board. I'm going to pull away from all these questions for just a minute because they're also focused on discipline, and that's really not what I'm about at all. I'm about connecting with your kids, playing with them, making them feel good about themselves. We deal with bad behavior, but then you focus on the good kid. Like, this is how it's done. Oh, I didn't like that. I'll tell you what, I'm going to get you to wash the windows. There you go. Okay, let's go to the park now. It's like that fast. Disciplining is a tiny, tiny part of what I'm all about. I'm about connecting with kids, bonding with them, making them feel good about themselves, increasing their self-esteem, giving them choices. You have the choice. You can either be good or bad. If you're bad, I'm here to fix stuff up. I'm here to teach you how to be good. Like, you see, there's no anger in any of this. It's just, oh, that was an interesting decision there. So what do you think a consequence for that would be? Well, maybe I should do that. Kids would literally come up with their own consequences with me because there was no anger. There was no shame. If you're shaming and shaming your children for being naughty, you're doing it wrong. Do you ever make mistakes? Would you like it if someone shamed you? No. Why would you do that to your kids? Oh, well, that wasn't very good. That was bad. So here, what are we going to do? I'll tell you what. I'll get you to help me do the laundry, okay? And then you're chatting as you're doing the laundry. Don't discuss bad behavior. Don't discuss tantrums. What's the point? Deal with it and then move on. Move on. Everyone wants to hang around in all the negativity, discussing all the bad behavior. Huge mistake. It's shaming, blaming, and berating, and it cuts them down. Their self-esteem's in the toilet. Don't do that to them. Well, don't get caught up in the word threats and consequences. Think about it this way. If I don't pay my taxes, I might go to jail. Is that a threat? Or is that a result of my poor choice? You see what I mean? I never threatened. I never said anything ahead of time with my kids when they were, once you're a leader, they just knew if they made a poor choice, I would say, ooh, didn't like that. Here's what we'll do. I didn't have to threaten them. They were just well behaved, but I worked for that. Okay. The behavior board is just an accountability chart. If you make a poor choice, this is what's going to happen. But I don't talk about it. Remember to be good. Oh, don't talk like that. That's horrible. Can you imagine your spouse saying that to you? Remember to be good today. It's patronizing, ridiculing, shaming. Yeah, it's just there. It's just, if they make a poor choice, you come in with a consequence. It's like that. So yeah. Is it a threat when the bank says if you don't pay your mortgage, we might foreclose on your house? Is that a threat? What is that? Or is it just a consequence of you not doing the right thing? You not paying the mortgage? See what I mean? And a threat is sort of something said before. And a consequence is what happens after. Like I would never have said to my kids, you better be good or this will happen. I just never said that. I always assumed they were going to be good. And if they happened to choose something wrong, then I would say, oh, didn't like that. Here's what we're going to do. You see the difference? Don't threaten your kids. It's just different. They just understand. Use the behavior board. It shows it all as accountability chart. It's about choices. You make this choice, that'll happen. It's all on the board. But once you get good at this, you don't use like I would never use a behavior board. And I never told a kid to be good or anything. I worked with hundreds of kids. I never told them to be good. I let them make mistakes. And then I'd say, oh, I didn't like that. I'll tell you what we're going to do. You see, and then they learn like that. Oh, she knows what she's doing. But I never threatened ahead of time or anything. I think a threat is something that's done ahead of time. I let them commit any crime they wanted to commit, and then I'd come in later and fix it. You see? Let them make choices. They'll eventually learn to make good ones. If you're always telling them to be good and not do this and do that and do this, it's ridiculous. You're micromanaging. Where's their pride? Where's their self-esteem? You don't want obedient soldiers here. You want them to do the right thing because they just are good people, not because they're afraid of you. Yeah, threats, I guess, are more fear-based. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to scroll ahead to make sure you're still here when I answer questions. I can tell I'm running out of steam today. I'm just tired. I've been up since 3. I was hit by a car the other day, so I'm still a bit wonky. Yeah. My advice to you is if you're ever hit by a car, stay on top of the hood. That was all I was thinking. Get on top of that hood. Do not go under. I remember, it's funny what you think. In a flash, I thought stay on top of the hood. Isn't that funny? Anyway, yeah, if you're ever hit by a car when you're walking, stay on top of the hood. If you're pulled under, it's over. Yeah, okay, my 2-year-old, you're going to hate me, Michelle. My 2-year-old has an obsession with his toothbrush, and he throws a fit when I take it away. So he doesn't like when you do the right thing? That's okay. Let him process that. It's okay. Plus, I wouldn't give him a toothbrush just to have because I don't think that's good for their gums if he likes chewing on it or something. I actually don't think that's good. I'm not a dentist or anything. But yeah, I would just, so what if he has a fit when you do the right thing? Does he have a fit when you put a seatbelt on too in the car? Like so? Let him have a fit when you just follow through with the right thing and let him have a fit. That's okay. Fits are them learning. Scroll ahead. Oh, all the questions in the comments. What I do is I hold them where they are. And then after a while, so many more are coming in and people come and go in these lives. So I scroll ahead to the most recent question just to make sure people are still here. That's why. Because I don't want to answer questions when that person's left. When my 3.5-year-old son answers with no all the time, is it better to present consequences or just ignore like a tantrum? Yeah. Well, I don't know. There's so many different ways to look at this. Like if you say, oh, well, there's going to be a I don't know, like, well, we're going to have dinner now. No. But does he walk over and eat dinner? Then I wouldn't say anything. That's in the attitude department. So long as the actions are right, I don't worry about the words. Unless he's name calling or swearing. That's different. Like here, we're heading off to school now. We got to go. No, but then he goes off anyway and goes with you. I wouldn't say anything. But if he doesn't go, I'd pick him up and probably cart him under my arm. What was your favorite activities to do with your kids? 100% make mommy laugh nights. We used to do these things. They were older. They were maybe 3 and 9 or 4 and 9. They were 5 years apart. We started it around them. Anyway, it's when Ace Ventura movies first came out with Jim Carrey, and my son's brilliant at mimicking people, and he was really good at mimicking Jim Carrey. So anyway, what we would do is we'd have Make Mummy Laugh nights, and we did it pretty much every night after dinner or around dinner, whatever. I don't know. So anyway, what we'd do is we'd play a little scene from one of the Ace Ventura movies, and then we'd take turns acting it out and mimicking Jim Carrey. So my daughter was younger. She did it first. She was horrible at it. And we'd be laughing at her and she'd be laughing. And then it was my turn. I would mimic her doing Jim Carrey. We'd laugh and laugh. And then I'd do it. I was horrible. We'd laugh at me. And then it was the master's turn. My son would do her doing it, me doing her doing it, me doing it. And then he'd just perfect it. By the end of it, I would laugh so hard. Like, I'm a real giggler. And I would laugh so hard that I'd be running down the hallway holding my shorts, wet in my pants. So we used to call them Make Mummy Pee nights. And I always said, I'm going to go to the bath. And they'd say, Mom, go to the bathroom first. And I always said, I'm just going to squeeze out a teaspoon, trying to empty my bladder. Because I knew I'd be wetting my pants laughing by the time we were done. We did that every night for a long time. Had a blast. Just, God, I had so much fun parenting. It was just, I laughed a lot every single day. Just, my son was really funny. My daughter and I would giggle at everything he said. So yeah, it was just fun. It was just fun. Sail through the teen years is what keeps me going with my 16-month-olds being nuts. Yeah, I did kind of sail through it, I guess, by comparison to what most people talk about. There's the odd blip, but overall, I sailed through the teen years because there was no rebellion. You can't rebel against a leader. It's impossible. Like my son said, I could never rebel. He was kind of mad when he said it. He was about 15, 16. And he said, I could never rebel. You're too reasonable and easy to talk to. I didn't know whether to apologize or celebrate. So, but yeah, they can't rebel against a leader because there's so much respect going two ways. So if he said he didn't like something, I would say, well, come on, tell me why, and then he'd state his case and I'd say, yeah, you're right. How about we compromise? Because when you're a leader, they never come at you with anything ridiculous or unfair or unreasonable. They just come at you with something reasonable and fair. Then I'd negotiate and I'd say, sure, okay, then we'll do that. And okay, how about you do this? And then I'll do that. So it was always like very respectful, but I was very much mom. I was still mom. We were goofy. We had a lot of fun together, but my number one role was always mom, for sure. It still is. My kids are 34 and 29 and I'm still mom before I'm anything. But yeah. Yeah, I love that I laugh with my 16-month-old twins every day too. You think about it. I remember I had this friend, someone said this to me and they said, oh, you've got these little, what did they say? I could never remember how they worded it, but it was really funny because they saw me with my kids all the time and they said, I've never seen anyone just laugh so much, like the three of you. And they said, it's like you've got these little human beings that you molded into your particular sense of humor. I've got a very silly sense of humor. Neither of my kids are silly. I am. But I kind of, when they were growing up, I kind of molded them into this, the humor that I liked, and because they love making me laugh, right? So, but yeah, you got these little humor victims. So they were my audience, they were my entertainment. So yeah, then of course they developed their own styles too. They're neither one of them is silly like I am. I won't go on about it, but yeah, I've got the silly gene for sure. Some of the stuff I've done. Anyway. How would you best start integrating adjusting parenting with a 12-year-old boy? So he's 13. That is my 4 tips for parenting teenagers, and then I'll explain it. Number 1, listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. Number 2 is negotiate pretty much everything. So, hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper. What do you want from me? Number 3 is don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. And do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off, okay? We all make mistakes. And number 4 is don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. Now, teenagers are inherently on the moody side. They've got hormones flying, especially 15-year-old boys that just turned 15. Hormones out the wazoo makes them very aggro a lot of the time. Aggro, that's Australian, isn't it? Sorry, I raised my kids in Australia. Aggro. aggravated. So yeah, they can be very moody. You have to let that stuff go. Let it go. Now you've got two choices with teenagers. You can either be right and be a right fighter, or you can be happy. You decide. That's a really good piece of advice for any marriage or anything. You can be right or you can be happy. Doesn't mean you have to be wrong all the time, but think about it. Is it worth, even if you know you're right, the other person knows you're right anyway. So yeah, just back off. Don't get into arguments. So yeah, with teenagers especially, you can be right or you can be happy. I remember once I said to my son, he was the one that had moods. My daughter didn't. I didn't really. Oh, I guess I probably more than my daughter for sure. She was really easy. But my son once, he was just in a mood. He was, and he was, I don't know, 15 or something. And so we were discussing something. And I said, I'll tell you what, let's talk. I said that. I actually said this really dumb. I know better. But I don't know. It felt great. So I said it. I said to him, I'll tell you what, let's talk about it later when you've calmed down. Ooh, he said, me calm down? You're the one that needs. And instantly I thought, oh, geez, I tried to get it back in. I couldn't get it back in my mouth. But what I should have said was, I'll tell you what, let's just talk about it after dinner. But what I had done was I said, when you calm down, I was pointing fingers. Now, was I right? Yeah, he was being silly. You see what I mean? Are you going to be right or are you going to be happy with teenagers? So yeah, and you got to let them make mistakes. They're going to make mistakes. Don't try and micromanage them. Just you're there for the big stuff. Let a lot of the little stuff go. Okay. How do I stop hitting in a 1-year-old? Not much. You just physically restrain them, hold their hands. Okay. Constantly lying from a 9-year-old, how to deter it? Just put no lying on the behavior board. Say it like it is. No lying. When he's caught in a lie, say, okay, here's the consequence. No anger, no lecturing, no lecturing, no lecturing. That's the kind of stuff that, it just, yeah. Do you change up the consequences? 4-year-old washes windows when he hits, pushes, but lately has a lot of I don't care attitude. Just find something else. Wash a windowsill, vacuum your car, make it easy for him, right? Something that he wouldn't like to do. Maybe get some cobwebs. Oh, he might like that. Dusting, cleaning out the bathroom sink. Just change it up. You can just put down, do a chore within 15 minutes of being asked to do so. You can change up the chore at any time you want. Empty the dishwasher. There's not much that I don't like when it comes to cleaning. I don't like dusting because to me, that's not dirt. I love cleaning bathrooms and kitchens because that's like dirty, and I love cleaning floors. I do that every single day, all 3 of those. But you know what I hate doing? I hate emptying a clean dishwasher. Isn't that weird? I don't know why. I don't mind filling it up, but I don't like emptying and putting the dishes away. Weird, eh? And dusting. I don't like dusting. I do it, but I don't like it. So surely you can find something. People always say, oh, they love doing chores. There's always something they're not going to love. Okay. And the only reason they love doing chores is they're lousy at it. Once kids are good at doing chores, they usually hate them. Hate folding or putting laundry away. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I hate unloading the dishwasher. I don't feel like it's cleaning. I don't know why I hate it. But you should see me scrubbing the toilet every morning. La, 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 la. I love cleaning. Bathrooms are probably my favorite. I do it at least once a day, the whole thing. But because I just maintain, I don't clean dirty, I maintain clean, so it's a lot easier. And it's not for everybody. I don't think anyone else should be this way. And also, I didn't raise my kids like this. They didn't see me do this stuff. I'm a closet cleaner. I clean closets too, but yeah, I don't like to clean in front of other people. It's like my own it's like meditation to me. But I never put that on my kids because I don't feel that you need to be this fussy. Like it's just my own personal choice. So I never put my own personal choices on my kids. Yeah, it's just because I like it doesn't mean they're going to like it. And I'm not saying they should like it. It's like when people are, how people think their way is their way or the highway. I'm vegan. But I'm not pro-vegan. You could sit beside me and eat a whole side of ribs right in front of me. I could care less. Like I'm not pro-vegan. I don't think that being vegan is the way to go. It just suits me. Like, I don't think that being fussy is the way to go. So be careful with this stuff. What I mean by that is allow your children to develop their own personalities, their own likes, their own dislikes. They're not mini me's. They're not mini yous. Okay. Allow them to develop their own personalities and their own views. You might learn something from them along the way. I went vegan because my daughter did. She's not vegan anymore, but I followed her. I'm more of a follower anyway with stuff. So yeah, you might learn something by opening your mind to your kids' ways. I'm going over to TikTok now. Check out the link above. You can see my free behavior board, my courses, and everything else. So anyway, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. That's where all my lives are saved. Happy parenting. Bye now. That's TikTok. It always starts with an ad now. And I say that every time I do it. So didn't used to do that. Geez, I'm tired tonight. I wonder if I had the vaccine tonight. Maybe that's it. Never been tired with it before, though. Just had a busy day. Yeah, I've been up since 3. Maybe that's it. I'm such a morning person. I used to fight that when I was younger because you think you should be, sleeping in on weekends and that like everybody else. But no, it's not my way. I was always a morning person. They say you're born that way. It's in your DNA. But yeah, 4 o'clock's good, but I don't like getting up at 3. How are you still functioning? Well, look at me. Am I? Someone said, how are you still functioning? I don't think I am. This parenting stuff, this is it's in my DNA too, so it's easy, but it's still, I don't know. I'm not good at functioning when I've been up that early. Silly me. I go to the gym really early, but they don't open till 5, so. Plus, I'd be creeped out going to a gym at 3 in the morning. Those 24-hour places? I would find that creepy. I'm driving to the gym now. I've never driven to the gym. I always walk. But since getting hit by that car the other morning when I was walking to the gym, I'm driving every morning now. It scared the hell out of me. But I'm feeling better today, so it's good. That's good. Oh, I hate cleaning the floor under the high chair. Yeah. I should get a dog. Then you just have to clean up the saliva. But yeah, cleaning up after messy eaters, that's just part of it, right? Aren't they just gross when they eat? My granddaughter, we just got a video, I think yesterday. She put her face in the plate and she's eating off the plate with her face. They all give that a go. That's actually better because they're not throwing it around. It's going right from the plate to their mouth. New Zealand. Hello, honeymoon tattooer. We used to ski in Queenstown because we lived in Australia. And so, yeah, we went there a couple times with the kids and everything. Beautiful. Oh, God, what a beautiful little city. If you want to see something, it just feels so remote from the rest of the world, which I guess it kind of is. And it was full of Europeans. We were there the first time I think we were there. It was during 9/11. And it was really interesting because it was mostly Europeans. And we were like, I guess there were some other Australians there, but we didn't see many. It was mostly Europeans. You know what was interesting? 9/11 happened. And when we got to the top of the mountain, everyone went skiing. And there was me. There was only 2 people in the bar, not drinking, but just in this lounge area. I couldn't ski because of 9/11, it shook me up, right? So I'm just glued to the TV all day. And there was only one other person in that lounge that day in the chalet, and it was an American. So I guess because it was closer to home for us, but all the Europeans and Australians, they're all skiing all day. And me and I'm Canadian, me and this American are glued to the TV because it's closer to closer to home for us. But anyway, but yeah, that was, and then we, of course, we're worried about getting out of there. So we got out, obviously. Excellent. I've been using a lot of your techniques and I'm seeing positive results. Thank you so much. Excellent, Jessica. I just give you the information. You're the ones who do the work. Anyway, welcome to my live. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. I'm a mom and a grandmother. And what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. If you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my courses, and everything else I've got to offer. My daughter and I are doing our podcast together now, and it's just tons of fun. We work together. She's been working with me now for 3 months full time. And she came up with really weird how it happened. I blew up on TikTok really fast a couple of years ago. So she was sort of guiding me, saying, this and that. But I did that on my own. She told me to do it, but I did it all on my own, just filming in my bathroom, holding the camera like that. And then she says, Mom, I'm going to get you on Facebook and Instagram. And she had a full-time corporate job. And she said, I'm just in my spare time, I'm going to get it. Just once she came on board doing that, and then it just exploded after that. And then now she's full-time with me. So it happened organically. And she was just doing me a favor. So now I'm obviously paying her now. And but so imagine working with your kid. Like, it's kind of like a dream come true, owning your business and working with your kid. Like, I'd love to work with my son too, but he's got his own stuff going on. But yeah, we work very well together. We're very different personalities. I have no filter. I'm goofy. I'm, crazy. She's very steady as a rock. She's very organized. This is what we're doing. She plans everything out. She tells me what to do. And I'm always trying to get out of stuff. I'm more the scamp. Okay. But yeah, I'm always in trouble. Did you do that, Mom? Remember I told you to get that done? No, I forgot. I'm always in trouble, as usual. But yeah, you can see that podcast anywhere across the platforms. And then the video it's on YouTube also. So you can see it's on BratBusters Parenting. And then you can, if you want to see, my daughter and I together, that's where that is. We look very different too. She's taller than me. She's got blonde straight hair, and I've got brown curly hair. But she is my daughter. I remember when she shot out of the womb, she came out with a blonde afro. And even when she was just crowning, the doctor said, oh, this is interesting. And I panicked. I thought, what? And he goes, oh, you'll see. And then she came out and she had a blonde afro. Like, I don't know where she got that from. And I'm yabbering. Yeah, I've been up since 3 a.m. I'm a little bit punchy. So I can tell now I'm starting to die out here. I'm punchy. Fellow Canadian here. Hello, the House of Windsor Avery. I'm Canadian. I'm also Australian because that's where my kids are born and raised. And two very nice countries. I feel very lucky to have that dual citizenship. Yeah. By the way, that car accident, I was a pedestrian. I got hit the other day. I've got to go pick them up. Actually, they've been dropped off at this spot where I get all the Amazon packages. I bought armbands. So if you're ever out at night or anything, or with your kids, just buy those. They're flashing armbands, and they are reflective, obviously, but they also have lights. So I'll just have them plugged in every night when I go to bed, and I'll just slap them on in the morning. I'm going to keep those on dark, winter days. But yeah, I don't think this guy would have seen me anyway. He raced around the corner too fast, but whatever. It sure shook me up, I'll tell you. I feel so grateful. I'm a glass half full person, and that accident just made me, I feel like I got a second lease on life now. Like, I could have easily been pulled under, and all I was thinking was stay on top of the hood. And it was just happened that fast, but I was thinking stay up, don't fall down. Yeah, I was very lucky, very, very lucky. Yeah. And then I went to the gym after that. I hobbled, the ambulance left. I didn't want to go to the hospital. And then I hobbled off to the gym, and I did 2 exercises. When I was doing the second one, I was doing a shoulder press, and I could feel myself starting to cry. I guess I was in shock, I guess. And then the emotions started hitting me. So I had to call and get picked up. How embarrassing. What's that old woman doing? What's she crying about? Yeah, I can walk today and everything. It's great. It's great, great. Okay. So I'm just looking through your questions here. Don't genetics go back like 7 generations? Yeah, but they morph into all sorts of different things. Yeah, they morph. Like in my adopted family, my family, there's bipolar or schizophrenia. I'm not sure which. My grandmother, because she wasn't assessed. Back then they didn't know what it was. They just said what did they call her? I don't know, but she was up and down. So probably bipolar. Anyway. So, but then there's none of her she had 3 daughters. None of them had it. But then there's 8 cousins. So the next generation down, and 2 of them, I believe, got bipolar. I'm not sure how, but yeah. So it skips, and like everyone gets different stuff. So what's funny is I always used to say, well, thank God I'm adopted, because I didn't want my kids to get anything. Then I found out a few years ago, I didn't find my birth mother, but I found her cousin who said that my birth mother had bipolar. So it's everywhere, right? But doesn't mean you're going to get all the same stuff. You develop your own little personalities and stuff, but there is a lot of stuff that's genetic. I mean, no one really knows for sure how that works. But they do say that some things are dominant, like big noses and big ears are dominant. The likelihood of your children, if you both have big ears and big noses, the likelihood of your children not having both those things is really slim, evidently. So there are certain things that go down. Okay, I don't have any advice, but I'm going to read it out, and because I want to tell you why I don't have any advice. Do you have any advice for a 3-year-old who just had a baby brother? There's lots of meltdowns. No, I don't really. It's a transition time. It doesn't really matter what you do. You can't change the fact that there's been a big disruption in this child's life. You can't change that. So you can't make it all better. You just have to wait. You're lucky he's 3. 2 is harder if they're so inclined to hate the baby. 2 is much harder. But at 3, you can sort of set the 3-year-old up as a hero. Say, can you please get that? Oh my God, the baby just loves you so much, loves you. You set the older child up as the hero. Talk a lot about that. Oh, the way she looks at you. Oh, gee, she's just so in love with you. She loves you so much. So do stuff like that. That sometimes helps, but it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. It's a big transition. How to help at home an 8-year-old focus and listen to directions in school. So is this child got some learning disabilities, like maybe some, what's that called? What's the one with the D? They get letters mixed up or something. But do they have any learning problems, or have they been diagnosed? Because that's often, this is the first place I would go if they really couldn't focus and listen. Also, when you're at home, do you get them to focus and listen, or do you allow them just to play video games? I don't understand it all. But focusing on a video game is not the same as focusing at school. It's more stimulating rather than it shoots stuff at your brain rather than your brain having to sort of do any work. So yeah, cut back on the screen time. Maybe play more games at home where there's a start and a finish. It's like school that now we're gonna do math. Now we're gonna do that. So say now we're gonna play a game, and you play a game with them. Just teach them how to sort of focus on one thing for a prolonged period. But yeah, potentially that could help. I don't know, because I would kind of have to assess that, by the way. So if you want to work with me, you probably don't need to hire me for that. But I would have to assess that. Is ADHD a disorder or a stress response? I have no qualifications to make that call. I don't know. What I have been told by doctors is that ODD is not a diagnosis. It's just something that they throw at moms to make them feel better, which is a real shame, because it also absolves them of any responsibility of improving their children's behavior, because they tend to lean on that. Oh, well, I can't help him. He's got ODD. So that's oppositional defiant disorder. It just means you got a feisty kid. So yeah, I know doctors have told me that's not a medical diagnosis. It's just something they made up to make moms feel better. A few doctors have told me that, because some of my clients are doctors, right? So. Okay, I'll tell you what to add. This is Ashley about the son who isn't focusing on school. He's 8 years old. Go online or just go on YouTube and look up DIY or fun or free, or you can go on Amazon and buy it. 2 different things: magic tricks and science experiments. Those usually hold kids' attention. I did a lot of magic tricks with little kids just to keep their attention and get them on my side, kind of thing. So yeah, I always led with fun, and that was one thing that worked with really little kids. But at 8 years old, look up magic tricks. If he doesn't like those, I would still implement science experiments anyway. So yeah, that's really good to focus on an experiment. The old stuff like the baking soda and vinegar, that kind of stuff. It's all based on all that simple stuff. So yeah, that's what I would do. I would say, hey, look what I bought. I bought this new science experiment, whatever. You said, no, this is D. Norton. Please help. I am so lost. What are you lost? Did you already write something? Sorry, I'm tired. I've been up since 3 a.m. I can feel myself fading. I have to keep holding my head up. How can we help the ODD? Well, it's just set yourself up as a leader. It's never the kids. It's always you. I was talking to a client this week, and they were saying, our child's very hyperactive and sensitive or something like that. I can't remember. And I said, those are all the kids I worked with. I worked with all sorts of kids who were challenged, ODD, WXYZ, ADHD, whatever. I used to call them alphabet kids. When you're a leader, it calms them down. It just does, because they feel taken care of. They feel like, oh, you're in control. Now I don't have to worry. So yeah, set yourself up as a leader. Check out my boot camp course. Actually, it might be a good fit for you. It's all about teaching you how to be a leader in 5 weeks. It's all paced out. Don't rush through that course. You can stretch it out by a week or two, but do not shorten it at all. I've been doing this for like 20 years, and I've paced it out according to coaching, what works in coaching. So, but yeah, that's why there's 5 sessions. There's 5 weeks. It takes about that to learn how to be a leader. So check that out. When you're a leader, it tends to calm them down, and they do tend to have more focus. But like I said, the other kid too. But when you're a leader, it does help them to focus. It helps them to calm down. It increases their self-esteem. They just feel taken care of. Doesn't mean they love you any less if you're not a leader, but they trust you more, and it calms them down. And they want to please you. Therefore, they're more likely to focus and be well-behaved. So it's all you. Their behavior is just a direct result of your parenting. Between the ages of 3 and 12, not under 3, because they're nuts at that age. Toddlers are crazy. And then teenagers, a little bit of a different beast there, but you don't want them to want to please you all the time, but you want them to not want to disappoint you. You want them to want to please themselves more. You want to pass the leadership baton over to them, so they're learning how to run their own lives. And that whenever someone says, how do I control my teenagers? I said, you don't. You get their respect, and then they control themselves. You can't control a teenager. That's ridiculous. You want them to control themselves, have some self-discipline, etc. It's like my son, one of his classmates asked him, he was about 16, and this kid didn't really know him that well, but this kid said to him, hey, would you ever break the law? And my son said he laughed. And he said, are you kidding me? I'd be terrified my mom would get to me before the police could. Darn right. And it's not that he's afraid of me, but he wouldn't want to he'd be so ashamed of himself because, he didn't want to disappoint me. And vice versa. I wouldn't want to do anything that disappointed my kids either. It's that mutual respect stuff, right? Keeps them in line, keeps you in line too. Where can I find the course? Everything is in the link above. Aw, where can I find the course? I even left my job to put more into him. I'm lost. Yeah, you're not alone. Does that help? You are not alone. I get a lot of clients. I had this one client earlier in the year, and cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. Cried so much. And I said, look, if you got to get it out, let it happen. I said, I'll just sit here and I'll wait. I'm here. And cried and cried and cried. And then after about 5 minutes, I said, okay, come on, we got to get some stuff done. Cried and cried and cried and cried. And then literally had to try and stop crying. And I said, and then she said, do you get this? And I said, you'd be surprised how many people cry, because it feels good to find someone you can just cry. And yeah, cried and cried and cried. Finally, she goes, okay, fine, I'm all dried up. And then we got to work and everything got easier after that. But you're not alone. Okay, it's very emotional, feeling like you're failing your kids. You're doing it all wrong. You're messing your kids up. You hate your kids. You love them, but you hate them because they're driving you nuts. Completely normal. Completely. It's just people don't usually admit that. They tell me, but they don't admit that, right? And I say, come on, get it off your chest, and then we'll move on. Okay, you're not alone. All I've done is cry. I'm doing all I can, but the professionals aren't listening or helping. I don't know who you're working with or whatever. If you want to work with me, look at my coaching if you want to work with me. There's no guarantees with any of this, but I do specialize in crisis work, so especially teenage stuff. I was talking to another client, and they said, and I said, don't be embarrassed. I'll never judge you. And they said, I'm not. I can care less. They weren't even. They said, I don't even care if you judge me. They just said, it just feels so good to have someone to cry in front of. That just struck me as funny. I can care less. Because I guess you hold it back, right? Because you don't want to admit that you feel like you're failing. So you don't even want to admit it to yourself. But I think by the time they've come to me, when they're this distraught, by the time they come to me, they see an end. They can finally go, oh, thank God, finally we're going to fix stuff. So then they cry for what's happened in the past, and then they're ready to move on. But yeah, I see that a lot. How does your coaching work? It's all done on just here, video. Well, not here, but it's done on Google Meet. By the way, coaching to me is not discussing the philosophies. Some parents want to know, because some of my clients are child psychologists, teachers, principals. They want to know the psychology behind some of it. But I usually say to them, when we're finished the session, then if you still want to know, then ask, because I don't like to waste time on all that, on why we do stuff. I just say, just follow the process, follow through with what I suggest, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, as we go along, you would understand the psychology behind it. You'll start to get it. But yeah, everyone wants to know ahead of time. But I say, no, it'll make sense as we go. Oh, good night, Jess. Good luck. You're not alone. You're not alone. Okay. I'm going back to work. I'm so scared to put my babies in daycare. What do you suggest? Yeah. Well, my granddaughter, my son's girlfriend will be going back to work one day. And her parents live very nearby. I'm a 40-minute drive away. Her parents live a 5-minute drive away, and they're retired. How lucky is she? I already said I will book one day a week to give them, a break. And I want to bond with my granddaughter too. It's just I'm so far away and I work, full time. So, but yeah, she's very lucky. That's not the norm. Most people have to go for daycare. I don't know how they're done, but here's what I would look for if possible. I would look for a daycare that has the camera on all the time. Like if I was running a daycare, I would say the only place that you can never see is the bathroom. But I'll never take a child in there anyway. So you can always see what's going on. I'm assuming now I don't want to talk, I'm not sure about this, but I know a lot of daycares have that where you can just from your phone, you can watch the whole daycare at any time. Now, if you're running a reputable, loving daycare, you'd be happy to have that service, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you be happy to do that? I'd be thrilled. When you watch, I want you to know your kids are safe, right? So that's what I would look for that, but I know how hard daycare is to find. Plus, I think generally my thought is anyone who goes into running a daycare, don't they kind of have to love kids? Because there's a lot easier ways of making money than looking after other people's kids. So I would assume they probably are decent people. That's my gut reaction, but I'd still want a camera if possible, but they might not all have that, right? I know you said 2-year-old with new sibling is much harder, but any advice at all? Nope. You can do the standard stuff like, here, can you help me with that? Help me with that. Set up a little play area beside you when you're breastfeeding. Set up a play area. So every time you breastfeed, that's also playtime with the other one. Stuff like that. But it might help a little, but overall, it's a transition time. Any transition, it's like separation anxiety. What can we do about that? Wait it out. It just takes time. Oh, I got to get going. I've been up since 3 a.m. I can feel I've been fading throughout this. Like I'm getting lower and lower. So yeah, I just wake up really early and I don't always get back to sleep. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me. If you want to look at the link above, it's my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching, and all that stuff. So thanks so much for joining me. And on YouTube is where I save all of our my lives are on YouTube. So they're all saved on there if you're interested. Anyway, thanks so much. Happy parenting. Bye now.